Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie Derrickson, and I have decided to do my presentation on Hinduism and their perspective on death and dying. I think Hinduism is a really interesting religion, and I was really excited that I could explore it a little more in this presentation. So, a little bit of Hinduism background. The word Hindu comes from the Sanskrit name for the river Indus, and also, a lot of Hindus live in India. They actually make up 83% of the India population, um, which I found interesting. And then the three margas, which in English is the path of liberation. There's three of them, and those are them in Hindu, and then in English are in the parentheses. So there's the path of ritual action, which is the ritual knowledge and action of one being cremated. And then there is the path of knowledge, which is the permanent and unchanging versus the transient and impermanent. So that talks about the circle of birth, dying, and being reborn. And then the last one is the path of devotion, which is the rituals and knowledge and worship of death, which I found interesting that the Hindus that they pretty much learn about all three of these to help them really truly understand death. Um, and then they worship the supreme god Brahman. I don't think I'm saying that right, but they believe that he's a universal soul, and they worship them in many forms. Vishnu, Rama, Shiva, and Krishna. I don't think I said those right either, but I found it interesting that they can worship him in so many different ways. So they have an idea of good deaths and bad deaths. So basically, in general, Hindus see death as a fulfillment of life, and better reincarnation has a better chance of learning new karmic lessons. That is from Thrain. And they see good deaths as that they occur naturally, and that before they die, that all of their conflicts are resolved, and that all their family affairs are in order. So something like there was something that I read about if their granddaughters are not married, then they make married arrangements to make sure that they have a good husband before they pass away, which I found kind of interesting. And then they see bad deaths as coming at a wrong time and unnatural, and we're going to talk about that more in the next slide. So prolonging and speeding up death. So prolonging your death will result in your soul being on earth past its natural time, and Hindus do not promote this at all. They don't like prolonging death by medications. They think that you just need to naturally pass away when God tells you that it's your time. So if you do speed up your death, they consider that to be a large karmic debt. And we'll explain what karma is here in just a second. And that if you commit suicide, it equals less rebirths later in life. And except for children's deaths, they say that since it is a child, that aggressive medical treatments are only done for children's cases. So moving on to reincarnation and karma. So reincarnation to Hindus, in Hinduism you can come back as anything. A person, animal, insect, a plant. It kind of plays off of your karma. So if you have good karma, then you can come back higher up in the hierarchy. But if you have bad karma, then you go down in hierarchy. So like I just said, your karma affects your reincarnation. Hindus use karma as a way of life. They base their daily actions on it because good karma is based on their good deeds. And if they have better karma, then they will continue to have many rebirths in the future. There are three types of karma. The first type of karma is the karma from past lives that may not be experienced in present life. Then there is karma currently being created, and then there is future karma or karmic experiences for a future lifetime, and that is also from Thrain as well, which I found super interesting that they have all these different types of karma, and that karma means something completely different and affects them differently than it does when we think about karma. So achieving good karma. So They say that someone who is terminally ill or old will try to tie up loose ends if they haven't already done so. And we kind of they go about this by spiritual suffering. So, and that's when a Hindu comes to the end of life knowing that they have responsibilities left undone. So that pretty much means, like, if they have bad thoughts or they know that they have, bad karma that they haven't really, made come to terms with. So they endure suffering. So they pay for it by saying lots of. They pray a lot. They will put themselves through pain, and they'll even start fasting just so that they can achieve good karma and have many more rebirths. Okay, so pre-death rituals. So ideally, a Hindu should die at home, surrounded by family and friends, and the family sings sacred hymns and sends prayers and chants to them as they are dying or a few days beforehand. They also, something that I found interesting is that they turned the bed so that the head is faced east. I don't know why, but I just thought it was something that was kind of cool. And then before a Hindu dies, the eldest son and relatives put water taken, if possible, from the Ganges River into the dying person's mouth. And the Ganges River is a sacred river in India, which people actually bathe in, kids play in, and animals are in pretty much all the time. So when you think about it, to us, that's a little gross that they're sticking this water in this dying person's mouth. But to them, it's a big deal because that's a really holy, sacred river for them. And that for the person that is dying, that's like securing their way into their God's hands. Post-death rituals. So Hindus pretty much only believe in cremation unless it is a young child that dies, then they'll bury them. They can also, the body can be frozen up to 3 days, and that can be shown at the family's house, and people can come and pay their respects. The body is placed in the home's entryway with the head facing south. Something else that I found interesting. And if the relative dies outside the home, most families will bring them back home for that purpose. Families go to the crematorium, and the eldest son starts the fire, and the family stands around the funeral pyre. And then once they once it is over, once the cremation is over, it's tradition to clean the house once they return home and to bathe. Once again, I don't really know why. I just thought it was something that was kind of cool. And then the ashes are scattered in the Ganges River or a nearby ocean or river that leads to it. Also, another note that the crematorium is outside, and so once the body has completely burned, they will push the ashes right into the river so that they can go, if not already in the Ganges River. So some other things that Hindus believe in, they believe in various hells. So they believe that the souls go through various hells to explain their sins, if they have any. And they also believe in multiple heavens, so they believe that in the first 10 days that the souls create a new ethereal body, and then on the 12th day they become ancestors, which I found something that was kind of interesting. So they have something called the time of impurity, and that is the period after death. And this can last for a few days or to a year. It kind of depends on who it is that has passed away. And during this time, the family is in seclusion. They don't go to certain celebrations or temple observances. This is a time for them to be with one another. And something else that I found interesting was that the family will put out a pot of water in the entryway, and it'll be changed every day for a total of 31 days. And something else that I thought that was cool too is that on the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th days, a meal of the deceased's favorite food is prepared, and a portion is put in front of the photograph of the deceased, which is something that I thought was actually kind of cool. That is not something that we would normally do. And then these are my references. So Thanks for watching!